Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day. With the launch of Ballot Bliss and the popularity that it's seen so far, we are hosting an educational series of webinars, which is aimed at providing insight into some of the most common types of community association related voting scenarios. Today's session is going to be all about running hybrid elections in your HOA and how it can cut your workload by up to 50%. The first half of the presentation is going to be educational. We will have a demonstration towards the end to show you how some of these features can help your associations. This is a webinar, so your mics will be muted, but please feel free to use the Q&A section to drop any questions you have, and I will be circling back towards the end to go through those. We're also going to be doing a few polls during the presentation, so we appreciate your jumping in and participating if you're actively viewing this. It does help our team as we continue to enhance and refine our product. Before I jump in, a little bit about Ballot Bliss, if you're unfamiliar. Our vision is to help organizations and associations make the transition to e-voting effortlessly through our simple and secure online voting platform. We were founded in 2024, but we're partnered with Polera software. If you're not familiar with them, it's P-I-L-E-R-A. They have been in the association management industry for close to 16 years. And we're also part of organizations like CAI, ECHO, and CACM in California, and a number of other industry-specific organizations. A little about me, my name's Shay. I've been in the HOA and property management industry now for over 8 years, almost 9. I have onboarded clients with over 90+ communities. I've worked closely with many associations that have recently conducted their elections and with Ballot Bliss and helped their communities achieve quorum. Before this, I worked for Fidelity Investments for a number of years. And it also happens that our CEO and our lead developer were also with Fidelity for over 10 years. So we do bring a enterprise level mentality to everything that we do. But that's enough about me. So what are some of the challenges that communities have with traditional voting methods? Traditional voting methods often leave certain residents feeling left out, such as those living out of state, busy professionals, or individuals with mobility challenges. Additionally, communities incur significant expenses from repeatedly mailing notices and ballots. These methods are also susceptible to counting errors and tampering, and the time-consuming process of counting ballots can delay results. This may result in a lower resident confidence as they wonder why it takes so long for outcomes to be announced. So now that we've covered just a few of the challenges that communities encounter with traditional voting, let's get a quick pulse on the audience. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to open up a poll. Tell us the biggest challenge that you're facing right now with your election. And let me open that up for you guys. We'll give everybody just about 20, 30 seconds here to drive in your answers. All right, we're already getting some people voting. Thank you. Wow. All right. Give everybody about another 10, 15 seconds here. Awesome. Well, a preponderance of you put low participation. So that's definitely something that we've heard a lot of, and you wouldn't be the only ones to have that issue. So our aim is, of course, to show you how having a hybrid system like ours can help you with that challenge. So thank you for participating in that. So is hybrid for you? You guys did mention that, so let's take a look. So what exactly is hybrid voting? Imagine taking the best features of both traditional paper ballots and convenient online voting and blending them together. That's hybrid voting. It offers your community the best of both worlds. It brings together mailed-in ballots, in-person voting at your annual meeting, and secure electronic voting all in one election, or ballot, so to speak. Homeowners get to choose how they want to cast their vote, whether it's online, by mail, or in person. And that choice almost always leads to significantly higher participation rates in your community. So why consider hybrid for your community? Hybrid can offer many advantages for your community. Around 20 states in the US now allow electronic voting, but many still require a paper backup for those who prefer it. For example, California's new law in 2024 requires associations to allow residents to opt in or out of electronic voting. Another advantage is that hybrid can bridge the gap for diverse demographics. Whether residents live out of state or if they face mobility challenges, hybrid options ensure everyone can participate. For some communities still hesitant about fully transitioning to online voting, a hybrid approach offers the perfect opportunity to test the waters, so to speak, before committing. Communities that have historically struggled with low participation rates, as you guys have indicated, often due to relying solely on paper ballots, can experience a significant increase in participation of up to 80% simply by offering residents an online voting option. In most scenarios, a hybrid process can also significantly reduce or even eliminate the need to conduct two separate elections, saving you counting headaches. So now that you've learned about the challenges of paper only and some of the advantages that hybrid can bring, let's dive into a more detailed comparison. So when votes are limited to paper ballots, residents can only vote by mail or in person. Hybrid elections, however, open up more options, allowing residents to cast their votes from anywhere. Plus, hybrid elections can dramatically cut down on both time and money, of course. We've seen communities reduce their time by up to 70% and save up to 50% in cost. In fact, one of our clients shared that communities could save around $5.32 per unit by not sending ballot and notice mailings. However, it is important to keep in mind to check with your state and local laws and governing documents about specific requirements pertaining to mailing ballots. Sometimes it's a requirement by law. We'll be diving deeper into the cost savings in the next slides. So with a hybrid option that combines paper and online votes, you can reduce counting errors and increase confidence in your election, whereas with paper only, you may need to recount multiple times. Hybrid voting also enhances security. With encryption, sealed ballots, and paper backups, you can ensure the integrity of every single vote. And we've worked with several communities that have seen participation rates dramatically increase after providing residents with an option to vote online. They've seen around 50 to 80% increases in participation on average. So let's talk about time and cost savings. The next few slides do have a lot of information on them. If you don't find yourself with enough time to read through everything, remember, we will be giving you guys a copy of this after to reference. So hybrid voting can also reduce the time needed to administer the election by up to 60% in most cases. Let's consider an HOA association with around 100 units. To calculate, we've made some key assumptions. At least 20% may opt for paper when running a hybrid election. Admin time is valued at around $25 per hour. An election platform such as our own at Ballot Bliss costs $450 for a 100-unit community. And communities can save at least $5.32 per door when not sending out postal mailings and notices. So with paper-only elections, communities need to prepare notices and ballots, print ballot and envelopes, process and count each ballot manually, and then finalize the results that will be reported to the community during the meeting. This level of administrative work can take anywhere from 53 to 73 hours. With a hybrid model that assumes that 80% vote online and 20% by paper, you're reducing a lot of time investment and complexity. For example, with an online voting system, you're creating the ballots using an easy drag and drop ballot builder instead of formatting them in Word. You're sending out mass pre-ballot notifications and invitations electronically with the ability to print out notices to send to those who want the physical mail. And online votes are instantly counted against the tally as they come in. With a hybrid method, you can cut the time investment down to roughly 16 to 25 total hours of administrative time. Using the same assumptions that we use to calculate the time savings, we can see that communities can reduce costs by up to 50% as well. If 80% opt into online voting and 20% opt out, you can cut printing costs by up to 5 times. Administrative costs reduce significantly with hybrid because you're leveraging an online voting platform to send out digital and physical notices and ballots, and are only entering in 20% of the paper votes that come in. One important caveat to note is that if your community requires an inspector of elections or a third-party verification company, such as with California and some other states, it will cost around $800 to $1,400 extra for a 100-unit community, with some variations depending on the election requirements. Even so, communities will still greatly benefit from a hybrid election and can reduce costs up to 35%. So looking at the big picture, communities are spending 70% less time administering elections and reducing election costs by up to $10 per unit, with half of those costs coming from cutting out the mailing alone. Of course, if it's allowed. So if I might ask again, to get everyone's opinion, I'm going to open up another poll. If hybrid voting can reduce costs by up to 60%, what would be your primary concern about implementing said online voting solution or hybrid solution? Let me open that up for you guys. And we'll give everybody, again, about 30 seconds. All right. All right. Getting some good results here. Thank you once again. All right. Varying results in this one, actually. It looks like the two highest concerns would be either compliance regulation, which is certainly makes sense, and then the other would be technology learning curve. So of course, with the technology learning curve, you know, the aim with our system is to show you that, you know, it is easy to do. It's not difficult, either for you as an administrator or for your residents, you know, doing it themselves on the voting part. So that definitely is something we can help with. On the compliance regulation, we've done a lot of work to make our system compliant with varying state laws, but obviously, you know, there's always nuances to community associations. So I think the thing that I would mention about that is that we are very open to working with our clients to make sure that our system, you know, works for whatever scenario they have. So thank you once again for participating in that. All right, moving on. So now that you've learned about the time and cost savings that hybrid can provide your community, along with a few steps to get started, we're going to dive into some advanced strategies to run a successful hybrid election. Building a comprehensive voter database early on is key to seamless communication with residents throughout the election process. Start by verifying that your database solely contains eligible voters from your community. You can gather this information from your current property or HOA management software or from county property records. Ensure your database includes essential details like the names of all eligible voters, addresses, email and phone numbers, and each resident's preferred language. Some states, like California, require HOAs to get homeowners' permission to opt in or out of electronic voting, as well as ensure that those who opt out receive paper ballots. Beyond the legal requirements, it's smart to have an opt-in, opt-out strategy. This way, you can increase participation by catering to residents' individual preferences and comfort levels with technology. As you guys mentioned in that poll, you know, issues with learning curve on technology, this can help with that. So when you're regularly updating membership information, use that opportunity to build an e-consent process for communications and voting. It'll save your team a lot of headaches later, preventing a frantic scramble for resident contact information just a month before an election or bylaw amendment. Establish clear deadlines for residents to opt in or out based on your community's governing documents or state law requirements. Implement a multi-communication strategy to gather opt-ins. Use surveys, in-person forms at the office, email, and paper notices to confirm residents' voting preferences. In many cases, if a resident has opted in to receive their ballots and notifications through email, but their email address is invalid, they will need to be sent a paper ballot. It's important to have a system in place where you can detect if an email address is invalid early on to head it off. The earlier you detect contact issues, the earlier you can fix them. Creating a pre-ballot notification strategy that covers both electronic notifications and paper notifications is often required depending on your state. These are general recommendations, and you should always consult federal, state, local, and HOA regulations that may impact your pre-ballot notification plan. Generally, you can break down your pre-ballot notification strategy into 4 different phases, each with a different goal in mind. The goal of your initial election notices up to 90 days or more in advance will be to announce general details about the election, such as the voting window, and also begin to collect the voter preferences. The second stage is to educate voters about the nomination process and guidelines for candidate statements, along with other details like the deadline. And then in the third phase, your goal should be to provide owners with official ballot notice and the candidates that are running, detailed instructions on how to vote, how to get technical support, and refer to any legal requirements that your association is following. The last phase is to continue educating owners about the election, which can be in the form of hosting a town hall or a meeting or something like that to get the residents to know the candidates. And be sure to provide instructions on voting and send final pre-ballot notices to increase engagement. Incorporating multi-channel communications in your election process can help increase turnout as well. Studies show that you need to send at least 3 to 5 reminders for people to take action. Kick off your election by announcing it across all channels. Email, website, text, and even posters in hallways or clubhouses can help. Distribute ballots with a secure voting link or through physical mailing. Next, send timely reminders, including postal notifications, to those who haven't cast their vote yet, so no one misses out. And when issues arise, whether paper or electronic, be ready to address them quickly and promptly. Hybrid elections aren't about running 2 separate elections. Instead, they require a system that seamlessly merges all online and paper votes into one unified database. When processing paper votes, be sure to attach proxy forms and original copies to the initial submission, while also keeping paper copies for your records. Double-check voter eligibility and carefully avoid recording any duplicate votes. And then once the election concludes, it's time to analyze how successful it was. You can use various metrics to judge success. For example, calculate any gains in efficiency from using a hybrid system, such as an 80% reduction in time to process and count the votes. How effective was your voting system? For example, if an online voting system were running 100% of the time you needed it, it could reduce support issues, residents can vote at any time of the day, and it generates faster results for your community. Conduct a cost-benefit analysis. How much did your community save by moving to a hybrid solution? How did hybrid voting impact the experience for residents? You could even send a post-election survey to homeowners, identify shortcomings to improve and successes you can repeat in your next election. So now that you've learned about the time and cost savings of the hybrid voting option, along with some proactive strategies you can use right away, we'll now show how communities can increase participation by up to 80% with Ballot Bliss. Many state laws, such as California and Florida, require HOAs to allow residents to opt in or out of electronic voting. Ballot Bliss is actually releasing a new feature in the coming weeks to make it easy for your residents to opt in or out. And then on top of that, we'll be feeding that into a report that you can then pull to section out those who have opted out. When it comes to sending pre or post ballot notifications, the ballot itself, or reminders during the voting period, residents who prefer paper will get the full experience. And so just to kind of show you guys an example of that. So here's an example of our fictitious Cherry Hill community with a yes or no abstain option, but make sure you're giving them the best experience, even for those who have opted for paper ballots as well. So at this point, I do want to do just another poll. This will help us again to kind of gauge when people are having these needs. When does your annual election happen? And we're just going to base it off of quarter that it happens in. So if you guys wouldn't mind answering that, we appreciate it. All right. Already seeing that a good majority are in Q4, which we have found to be mostly the case, but a few in Q1 and Q2. We'll give everybody another minute, 10, 15 seconds here. Perfect. Awesome. Again, thank you to all who participated in that. It looks like it's a tie between Q1 and Q4. Awesome. So as far as communicating, with the residents, reach more voters with pre-ballot notifications delivered via phone, email, text, or physical mail. And again, see up to an 80% turnout when offering residents more options. Additionally, residents can place their votes as well via email, text, and physical mail. So you can send pre and post notifications in all those options, and then you can actually solicit them to vote via email, text, and physical mailing. It's just to show you guys how that works. So here is our fictitious community that we were just looking at for that letter. And we have an example in here just to kind of show you guys how this works. So with our system, you can send a standard message or a ballot invite. The standard message does not actually solicit them to vote. That would be for your pre or post ballot notifications or notices. And then the ballot invite is the one that actually sends out the invitation and prompts them to place their vote. And so, if we're doing it as the ballot invite, you can see I have a number of different options here of the ballots that we've created for this example. We do default to making sure that these are only getting sent to those who haven't voted yet. So our system will detect and not spam people who have already placed their vote in the system. There's a way that you can make templates. So if you're, wanting to just send out that same reminder several times during the voting period, you can, opening up for them to vote, that kind of thing. And as you can see, I can check off the different options depending on what data that we have on file for you. So if you do have the texting, we do support that for voting as well. And then down below, I see my message. You can include whatever information and send yourself a test email before you do to make sure that it looks okay. Same with the physical mailing. Download a preview PDF to see that it looks good before you actually send it out. We can download that or automate that for you on the letter sending. And then when you're ready to send, you can also, and I don't, hold on a second. I can also quickly see who's going to be receiving that message, who isn't for whatever reason, and why, if it's a preference-based thing or what have you. All right. So capturing everyone's vote in one system. So no matter how residents voted, all roads should lead to the same digital ballot box to prevent your team from having to count ballot records separately in different places. That means having a unified system that should be able to easily handle online votes, capturing mail-in ballots, and recording proxy submissions so that no one is left out based on their preferred participation method. This reduces manual errors while respecting diverse preferences and circumstances. So again, just hopping back over to our community to show this to you. So I'm going to go into the ballot admin area where we're going to see all these examples that you were just seeing in the announcement area. So here's all of our ballots that we've created for this community. And we're just going to jump into this annual election and budget approval. Under the participation area as an administrator, I can see who has and hasn't voted. In the reporting area, I can pull that as an Excel if I need to. But this is what I wanted to draw everyone's focus to, is this manually add option. So the idea would be that the person administrating the ballot during the meeting is recording any ballots that are from paper mailing, as well as those being cast at the actual meeting. We've created this in a way that's easy, quick keyword searching, and then we do support also multi-unit. You can see here this person has 4 different units. It looks like they've already voted for 3 of them. So I can just drop in what their vote is for them. If needed, I can also take a scanned copy of their physical mail and attach it to that digital submission as well. And this will go into the results logged as submitted by the manager. In this case, this is, let's see, this is a secret ballot. That's why I'm not seeing that, but I have an example I can show you guys of that. Bear with me. And so here you can see a example of one that was submitted by, in this case, it's Polaris Support is the name of the person. That's just our support email, but it would say the name of the actual manager that had placed the vote on behalf of the resident. All right, so easily track participation across all voting methods and watch as your community meets quorum. Instant results and tabulations with safeguards built in ensure that votes aren't changed or tampered with. And the last part I'll show you guys in the app here. So we do have the concept here of quorum tracking. And so what this does is it lets you enter a value, which will then show up on your list view. And you can see here's an example of one where 52 was the number that was put. And you can see clearly more votes than that were entered. So it's lit up green. Gives you a visual representation. And then on top of that, in the results area, for anywhere you have that, we also put it into the chart too. So if you have percentage of, here it is, percentage of ownership, if you guys have weighted units, we also factor that into those charts as well in the table so that you have accurate information. In summary, Ballot Bliss is built from the ground up to help you increase participation in your community's election, and we've helped many communities run hybrid elections seamlessly. You can easily send secure ballot invites to residents and reminders to those who haven't voted yet during the voting process. Increase accountability and build trust with your community through real-time quorum tracking, instant results, and audit trails. Capture all votes, online proxies, and mail-in ballots in one place so you don't have to run two parallel elections. And to close the loop, you can gain insight into voting outcomes in real time as they're happening. And of course, the result would be happy customers, happy residents, so to speak. Having the additional option of being able to place their votes remotely, as in the situation of someone who maybe doesn't live at their unit year-round, makes this a powerful solution. And as testament to that, here are some actual testimonials from one of our clients that's been using our voting now for a few years. They had an 80% turnout on their last election due to the convenience of having it online. So a successful situation there. This is a more recent testimonial from a client that is with First Service after we helped their association reach quorum for the first time since the community was created like over 20 years ago. To help their community increase participation, they used the charts in Ballot Bliss to regularly show progress to the board. They sent daily reminders to their residents to vote, along with extending the voting window if they needed to. As a result, they were able to successfully achieve quorum on 9 out of 10 amendments that they had used us for. And one of those that was really important was actually reducing the amount of percentage needed to reach quorum on future amendments so that they don't run into the same issues as they've had in the past. So that was a successful situation there. And as I mentioned at the beginning, one of our best qualities is providing excellent customer service. In a recent survey to our clients, they rewarded us with a 98% overall satisfaction rating. So to any of our clients that are in attendance, we love you, thank you. Hopefully to any that aren't clients, they do become clients to us moving forward. And then one last quick poll for everyone. So based on what you learned today, how likely is your community to implement a hybrid voting solution? And I'll go ahead and open that up and give everybody about 30 seconds here. Right. Give everybody about 10 more seconds. We appreciate once again your participation. This is very helpful for us. Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you everyone for that. All right. So what happens next? If you are interested in learning more about discussing Ballot Bliss further with a specialist, we do encourage you to schedule a one-on-one session. We will be providing a $25 gift card as a thank you for scheduling and attending a follow-up demo. Of course, if you haven't already seen a demo. If you are ready to move forward with Ballot Bliss, it's as easy as navigating to our pricing page at ballotbliss.com/pricing. And there's an option there to select the amount of units in your community, and then you can select from one of the two options. And I'll actually just bring you guys there and show you real quick. All right. So here's the pricing area on our page. And here is the slider that you can select. And then it just tells you what the cost is for either a single election. And we also do offer an option that basically is twice what the cost is of a single election. If you know you're going to have 2 or more voting scenarios within a year, this becomes more cost effective for you. Oop. And basically, having some technical difficulties, guys. I apologize. There we go. And so once you're ready to move forward, we will do the work of importing your resident data into our system and providing any necessary training. Once set up, the voting process is quick and easy for residents. And the end result is increased participation, trust, and an overall faster option for making community decisions. And to that point, it doesn't have to be used just for elections. As you saw, we had examples of surveys, amendments, all sorts of different things. Any decision, even a board-only vote, we do have that ability to only send it to board members, that kind of thing. And as a thank you for joining the webinar, we'll be sending each of you a helpful resident engagement playbook that you can use for your next election. It contains a checklist and some examples of actual communications and ballot samples that have worked well for our other clients. So be on the lookout for that toward the end of this week, where we'll also be sending you a recording of this webinar. And coming soon, so Ballot Bliss is continually adding new features and improving our existing functionality to improve our clients' experience and make voting easier for everyone. We are releasing some cool new features within the next week that include the opt-in and opt-out process for electronic voting. You'll be able to manage your logo and colors for the ballot portal. That's some of the branding that you guys saw on the portal area when I was showing you, as well as for the email notifications. In the coming months, we'll also be introducing new smart distribution lists and dedicated areas and improvements for ballot notifications and invites. So more to come. And at this point, I am going to open the floor on the Q&A. So if you had a chance to drop in any questions that didn't get answered during the webinar, feel free to drop those in now, and I will be going through those. All right. So if we don't reach quorum, can we extend the voting end date? Yes. Oh, just hopping back over here. So here's one of those examples, a special assessment approval ballot. The settings area, this is where you would actually say, for example, who should be able to vote, if it's a board only or for the entire owners, that kind of thing. There is a vote period start and end date, so it gives you the option. And with our system, the idea is that if you are using us for a single ballot, that you'd have access to the system for up to a year, so that if you need to, if it's something that you need to extend, you can push it back as far as needed within that time frame to try to collect the votes you need to reach quorum. So absolutely, you do have that ability in our system. Right. How quickly can I start using it? So good question. So as I mentioned, we will do the work of importing your resident data. So if it's already in an Excel format, which most people do have, as long as it's in the typical format, right? First name, last name, email, address. It's fairly quick and painless on our end. We typically want a week or two, just to make sure that if there's any issues with the data, that it has a chance to be rectified. And then of course, another few weeks for potential training. So we would hope that you guys are starting at least a month or more out from when your election is, but we could also expedite things if you're down to the wire, that kind of situation. All right. And that is all the questions. So again, I thank everyone. We will be sending out the recording of this later this week, so expect an email. And if you do want to sign up again, you can visit ballotbliss.com, or you can email us at sales@ballotbliss.com for any additional details or questions you might have. Thank everyone again for your time. Hope you have a great rest of your day.